This is Hannibal here with my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. The big news of the week was obviously The Rock's surprise appearance on Raw, where it only did a 0.57 rating, which was up, but obviously if they'd advertised him, it would have had more, or if he had said he was coming back later after he did his confrontation with Cody in the ring. It would have had more, but I mean, they get the same money either way, and they already have their Netflix deal, so maybe they just don't care. But the big thing from Raw was they did the first actual blading in the company in a long time. There has been intentional bleeding where they've purposely had people do hard ways, which is actually way more dangerous than blading. But they had Cody blade in the match or in the beating with The Rock, and it wasn't stopped or anything. Like we've seen WWE's no blood policy in recent years where they've stopped when bloods happen and so forth to protect the wrestlers. Obviously, AEW has been using a ton of blood. So it's not like it's that big of a deal in the fans' eyes anymore to see it. And yeah, looks like it's going to be getting more intense with The Rock. He can swear if he wants. He can have blood if he wants, and of course, he's the biggest star in the world, and he's on the board of directors. So yes, he should get preferential treatment. He did get cheered when he first came out for Raw. They only booed him when he didn't talk, and I just don't. It still boggles my mind why anyone would cheer Cody over The Rock because he's just so bland. And of course, apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, he believes that John Cena, Hulk Hogan, and Steve Austin, as well as The Undertaker, are going to be in Philadelphia, although they haven't been advertised for WrestleMania yet. Of course, Undertaker is still under contract with WWE. I think Cena and Hogan are too. Probably Austin under some form of contract. I really don't know. But you can expect them to do something. Ronda Rousey took some shots at WWE in her book, basically saying if they put the amount of attention they've put on the Bloodline and Logan Paul into her storyline, she could have been more over. You can't argue with that. I mean, the Bloodline storyline and Logan Paul has. I still don't get. I still find the Bloodline thing boring, to be honest. I don't take away Roman Reigns' talent, but anything where it's just people talking in the ring week after week is boring as hell to me. Logan Paul, they've done a wonderful job with. If they had protected Rousey as much as they have been Logan Paul, yes, she could have been over more. At least she still got the money and was the second highest paid in the company for a while. She also said that Bruce Pritchard was still receiving phone calls and text messages from Vince McMahon during the period of time when Vince was supposedly retired. Speaking of Vince, he sold over $1 million more of his TKO stock this week, over 700 million total. He could definitely start another wrestling league if he wanted to. I don't think he'd have a hard time finding wrestlers because they're always looking for work and looking for money. Finding a platform, I mean, I don't know if a TV company would necessarily take him, but a streaming service probably would. Who knows? Be interesting. He's pretty old. Becky Lynch's contract is up in 2 months. Drew McIntyre's contract is up in WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, no one expects Drew McIntyre to leave. Jade Cargill is starting soon on SmackDown, and Seth Rollins' deal is supposedly up soon. SmackDown in Milwaukee had 11,253 fans. Raw in Chicago had 15,810 fans. They went with the smaller entranceway, and honestly, it looked way, way, way better. These massive entranceways that take up like a quarter of the seats in the arena. They've been doing them since the '90s. At some point, like you rarely, you never see UFC actually with anything other than the tunnel. I mean, I think the Titantron thing is passe, if you ask me. AEW only had 3,438 fans in Quebec City, 20,000 seat arena Wednesday for a show that also had a bad rating, 0.23. The one thing I was talking to someone about AEW the other night, I found for the Ottawa one that the Ring of Honor matches actually take away from the show. They're mostly no names or people you don't care about, and they just make the tapings extremely long, and they leave people with a bad taste in their mouth for the shows. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm looking at for Quebec City, since there was no Collision taping this week. They taped Dynamite, Rampage, and Ring of Honor. That must have been such a long show. I mean, it turns off the casual fans with these incredibly long shows, and then it dilutes the good stuff because the Ring of Honor stuff isn't as good. But Tony Khan seems like a really nice guy. I mean, he just re-signed Jake the Snake. I wish I could get some of that contract money for all the years I've been in the business, and I'm way more famous than a lot of people under WWE or under AEW and Ring of Honor contracts. That's just a fact. I definitely am. I wish I could get some of that money, but I'm glad that he takes care of people like Jim Ross and Jake Roberts. But yeah, they only did a 0.23 rating. Apparently, Kenny Omega, and I hate to hear this, is having really bad intestinal issues and is going to need surgery. This is related to diverticulitis. Apparently, Jack Perry asked for his release because they were going to bring him back to AEW in November, but because CM Punk debuted in WWE, they decided to hold it off. He is working in New Japan now with AEW's approval. He's probably still getting paid by AEW too. One of the many that just get paid for doing nothing for AEW. To me, they've lost, like, by waiting so long to bring Jack Perry back. He loses all of his momentum. He was in the news so much for that Punk thing, and like by the time they bring him back, it's like Punk has moved on to other stuff, and like that story, no one's even gonna remember. Missy Hyatt has been back doing managing jobs. Apparently, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport is doing a show in Japan with Davey Boy Smith Jr., former Great North Wrestling champion, on it. Rampage Jackson's on it, but here's something interesting. Mike O'Hearn, who I've interviewed, the bodybuilder, Mike O'Hearn is making the trip to Japan for that one, which I could only figure maybe he's really popular in Japan for gladiators. Who knows? He does claim he has a martial arts background. The Rock stole CM Punk's shine in Chicago for sure, 100%. Honestly, to me, the Punk segment was boring. I'll be honest. I tried to watch it, and I'm not saying that Punk didn't draw the crowd there because The Rock wasn't advertised. Um, but to me, the CM Punk segment on Raw, I couldn't make it through. It was boring to me. That's just the fact. I liked what The Rock did. I didn't watch anything else. I don't have a high attention span for wrestling. By the way, Brutus Beefcake, who was on Dark Side of the Ring this week, is going to do an interview with me soon. He has some stuff he'll address from that Dark Side of the Ring, so I'm looking forward to that. He's underrated. I mean, people always say Arn Anderson was underrated. Everyone says it. So since everyone says it, I don't think he's underrated. Brutus Beefcake, for instance, as far as a draw, was a bigger draw than Arn Anderson. And I'm not taking anything away from Arn Anderson. I'm just saying Brutus Beefcake was a draw, and people don't give him the credit. Um, Maybe he got his opportunities because of Hulk Hogan, but so many people only have opportunities in wrestling because of their connection. Cody Rhodes would not be getting any of these opportunities if his father wasn't Dusty Rhodes. It's just the way wrestling works. If you have a good connection, you get opportunities. But Beefcake took the ball and ran with it when he was given the ball and had more success than he's given credit for.